basically two schools of thought. First school of thought is like, oh, the reason people can't save money is because they're spending too much, right? Which I technically at some point is always true, right? If you had no spending, you could save all your money, right? But it's impossible to have no spending. We need to eat, we need to have shelter, like you need to spend money, right? So that's the first school, is like people are spending too much. The other school is people aren't making enough income, right? And if they had higher incomes, they would be able to save more, right? And that's the school of thought that I support, and that's the school of thought that the data supports, like in a huge way. And I think like the strongest correlation out there between savings rate is your income, right? Like the people with the highest incomes have the highest savings rate. Like that's across the board. Now you can be like, well, I know a rich guy that doesn't save that much, right? He's like, he blows all his money. It's like, yeah, how many people do you know like that? Name them. Maybe you have 3, 4, 5. Like, guess how many I can name? Every other rich person. Like you have a handful of people that are taking their money and doing this, right? I think that's why I hate those stupid examples of celebrities that blow all their money and they use that as proof that like, oh, it's all about mindset and stuff. And don't get me wrong, mindset matters, but like, as I said, you have like 5 celebrities you can name. I have every other celebrity that's rich, right? It's like, it's the clearly using great examples, but my sample set is much bigger than yours, right? And so I think it's a trick that the financial media plays on people. And it's like, oh, the reason you're poor is because you're spending too much. And for some people, that's true. But for most people, I just don't think it's there. And especially what you just said, Dave, about you saw these people that didn't have money in their accounts. Like, yeah, some of those could be obviously spending it, but you can see the flows, right? You can see how much money is actually coming in, right? And so even if like, okay, they come in every month, they have to spend $1,000 on rent or whatever. It's like, where's the money coming from? Like you can't outmath your way out of insufficient funds, right? You can't mindset your way out of insufficient funds. And that at the end of the day, that's my big argument here. And the data supports it. And I'm just tired of this cut your spending, don't get your lattes type stuff. It just doesn't move the needle enough.
So how do they save more? So how do you go from, what I saw to better situations?
You have to raise your income. I mean, there's no way to. I mean, you're saying, well, that's so easy, Nick. I wish I just flip my fingers and raise my income. No, it's not easy, actually. It's much harder, but it's the only sustainable path out. And you have to either get a side job, get a second job, get a side hustle, like start building something and do it. And you have to spend time, and it's not easy, right? And it's better to start when you're young and do that. And I'm not trying to guilt trip people into doing that. I'm not saying you can't never enjoy time off or not spending time to do something. But at some point, like if you're in a tough spot financially, it's the only way out, right? If the question is, how much does that matter to you? Like, if you don't care about like having that much money, you don't care about that, that's fine. Then don't do that. But like, if you are worried about it, if it's causing you stress, it's going to be far less stressful in the long run if you get out of that hole than if you just sit there and say, well, I don't want to work another job. Well, I don't know what to tell you. I can't, find another skill that maybe and level up your current job where you can get paid more at your current job. There's a lot of things out there. I mean, I remember seeing these Twitter threads, people just like, yeah, I learned like 10 Excel functions and now I can go in there. I'm like better than most people that know how to use Microsoft Excel. And there's jobs you can get in accounting and stuff like that pay like, 40, 50K a year, which is not a ton of money, but compared to a minimum wage job, it's like kind of a big boost, right? And so even if you have to start there, like I feel like people can learn Excel. This is not, rocket science. I think most people can learn most of these things and get a decent paying job, right? I think it just takes time and you have to put the time in, and there's no excuse for that. There's no kind of way around that, right? It's like I wrote on the internet for 3 years, made $0, right? And then now my blog's actually making money off advertisements and stuff like that because I said, hey, I can have ads now. But it's one of those things where you have to do that. I had to do 10 hours a week for 3 years for nothing, right? And I'm not saying you need to be doing 10 hours a week. You could be making far more money just even working a minimum wage job, right? But I'm just saying that's an example of something that I just happen to love doing. Just find something you love to do that you could hopefully get paid for.